Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to a special edition of the Bama Standard. Got some big news to report, but before we jump into that, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching live, jump in that live chat. Let us know your thoughts. If you're watching a replay, jump in the comment section. We value everything that you bring to us. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. I'm Justin Riley, and with me, as always, is the hardest working man in show business, the senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and the most valued member of the Bama Standard, the Stephen M. Smith. What's going on, brother?
Man, I would say you are the most valuable member, just of the Bama Standard, but I definitely appreciate the sentiment there. Just getting back from the Moore Athletic Facility here in Tuscaloosa, as three tremendous young men, have just made the decisions to declare for the 2023 NFL Draft, that being Bryce Young, Will Anderson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. All three of their families were inside the Moore facility, just full of tears, full of joy, full of excitement, as these three men are about to change their families' lives forever. Coach Saban mentioned in his opening statement, all three got top round draft grades back from the NFL. We all kind of knew that Bryce and Will would go between the first 3 to 5 picks. That has not changed. Jahmyr Gibbs, from talking to him, he's being projected to be either top 15 or top 20. So Jahmyr could be the number one running back taken off the board. I know Bijan Robinson of Texas may have something to say to that. But Jahmyr Gibbs, also a top round draft pick, could go between pick 15 and pick 25. But all three guys have received top round draft grades from the NFL.
Yeah, without a doubt. Of course, we would be delusional if we were to say they were coming back, because there was no question that these guys are arguably the best players in America. And as you mentioned, top draft grades projected through the top 5. Some boards have Bryce and Will possibly going at number 1. So it's hard to really pass up that tremendous opportunity. You know, going in, they received a lot of criticism in terms of the Sugar Bowl and opting to play. A lot of people felt that they were putting themselves in possible danger of ruining themselves for their potential NFL career. And the thing is, it was never in question to any of these young men on whether or not they should play. And Coach Saban even went on to say, what value do you create for yourself by preparing for the NFL draft or the combine? You're not doing anything in regards to football moves. You're just preparing for a workout. But being on the field, putting together some film, getting some stats helps out tremendously. And I got to think, based on the performance in the Sugar Bowl, that they highly improved their stock and solidified their position as a top 5 pick. Bryce Young, you couldn't ask for a better exit. 15 of 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, passed in just 2 years, passed A.J. McCarron's second all-time in terms of touchdown passes thrown with 80, and also passed Tua Tagovailoa for the most 5 touchdown games. Will Anderson had a tremendous performance, of course. Jahmyr Gibbs showing what he could do. What a very valuable piece to the Crimson Tide offense this year, and was a very important part of that offense getting that spark Saturday. So how do you feel like they improved their stock on Saturday?
I mean, just no doubt. I think all three players enhanced themselves. You talk about Bryce Young. He had some throws in that game that were NFL throws, especially the one to Ja'Cory Brooks. Put it right there, dead on the money, perfect throw. And I mean, not just what he's done in terms of the record books, his 2 years as a starter. We're talking about surpassing names like A.J. McCarron, John Parker Wilson, big names that have held these records for quite some time. And Bryce Young did that, in 2 years as a starter. You look at Will Anderson, what a way he exits, even though he's been double and triple and sometimes quadruple teamed all season, he's still ended the year with double-digit sacks. That's a big deal. So he still handled work. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, a guy that can do it from a receiver standpoint, a running back standpoint, on special teams. He had a big 60-yard play in the Sugar Bowl that really got some fire back into Alabama, especially in that first half. So I feel like all three guys greatly enhanced themselves. The Houston Texans hold that #1 pick. Do they use it for Bryce Young? Do they use it for Will Anderson? We both know both of those two will go between top 3 and top 5. Where Jahmyr Gibbs is concerned, between picks 15 and 25, there's so many teams out there that need a versatile running back. In today's NFL, you look at the Alvin Kamaras, you look at the Christian McCaffreys, you look at guys that can do everything. Josh Jacobs to a certain extent, Najee Harris to a certain extent. Guys that can catch the ball at the backfield, that can run between the tackles, that have that burst on the perimeter. And if you can help on special teams, hey, they need that too. Jahmyr Gibbs can do all of these things. So in the next coming days, we could see more guys make that decision. The deadline for draft-eligible juniors to declare is the 16th of this month. So we could see Brian Branch make a move. We could see Eli Ricks make a move. We will see in these next coming days. The good news is we saw at the Sugar Bowl, Malachi Moore announced, "I'm coming back." I got a chance to talk to his mom, Miss Penny, and his dad. Malachi will come back. So that's a big deal there for him. Jermaine Burton, he's coming back as well. So that's huge. We could see a move made by Tyler Harrell to possibly come back. We did not see his speed this season due to an injury that he had coming from Louisville. He did not play much at all. So there will be some guys in the next coming days that will make a move in terms of draft-eligible juniors. But Will Anderson, Bryce Young, and Jahmyr Gibbs, they've given everything they needed to. So it's their time to exit stage left and make the generational money for their families. And the Alabama football nation could not be any prouder of what these young men have accomplished.
Oh, without a doubt. And the big three, we already know what they're doing. We saw that coming. But as you mentioned, we have some other draft eligible names, juniors, that can declare. Brian Branch, who had a spectacular performance in the Sugar Bowl. It looked like a Brian Branch pro day.
A tremendous Sugar Bowl by him. I think he has definitely enhanced his stature. I just saw draft scouts drooling, at the Sugar Bowl. So many people were there watching that game, and Branch covered so much ground. You're looking at 14 tackles by him. He had a sack in the game. He had several pass breakups, had several tackles for loss, had an interception. I mean, Branch was all over the field. And this was a season where you couldn't help but to notice him. In years past, NFL draft experts can pluck 7 to 8 first rounders just off Alabama's defense every year, and you wouldn't have a guy to get lost in the shuffle. This year, because of the fact that you had just Will Anderson and not necessarily many others being consistent enough, you couldn't help but to notice Brian Branch and how much ground he covered and how consistent he was and how dominant that he played, all year long. So I think Branch definitely enhanced his stature. It'll be interesting to see what his move becomes. But after this game, you had a lot of NFL draft pundits. I saw them walk out the room. You had a lot of NFL scouts that were there. I saw them walk out the room. I think Brian Branch literally put himself as a mid to late first rounder. I would look at between pick 18 and pick 32. Somewhere Branch is going to go. I saw a lot of Green Bay Packers scouts in there. They left highly impressed. Yeah. I saw Green Bay Packers scouts in there. They left impressed. I saw a few guys from the Baltimore Ravens in there. They left like, oh, look at this. There were quite a few teams that left Caesar Superdome looking at Brian Branch 14, say if he's on the board, when we get there, we're taking him.
Absolutely have to. So that being said, with the draft eligible guys, Brian Branch, Eli Ricks, and even Justin Aboybe, of those three, who goes and who stays? Gut feeling.
I think Branch goes. I think Aboybe comes back. I think he needs one more full year of tape of just him being consistently dominant. And I think Eli Ricks returns. I think he's got tape from LSU, but he doesn't have it yet at Alabama. And I feel like needs another year of seasoning, especially after his final year of LSU, injuries, having the shoulder, and he missed 10 games. So I feel like Eli Ricks comes back, and I feel like Justin Eboigbe comes back. I think Branch goes.
Absolutely. Out of all those three, I would definitely be willing to wager he would go as well. I think Justin Eboigbe, and I want to get your opinion on who do you feel like has the most to gain by coming back. I feel like to me, that's Justin Eboigbe. This is a guy that was really starting to come into his own and was really starting to establish himself as one of the more dominant players across the defensive line in the country. Unfortunately, he had the neck injury and had season-ending surgery, so he wasn't really able to get that ceiling that we felt like he was going to. I feel like next year will be his year to solidify himself as a first-round draft pick. Do you share in that sentiment, or is there someone else like maybe a Malachi Moore that you see by coming back earns a lot of money?
I think Malachi Moore coming back earns big money, because you look at this young man, what he did as a freshman just in 2020, 44 tackles, 4 of those for loss, 6 pass breakups, 3 picks. People were looking at Malachi to be the next Minkah Fitzpatrick. And unfortunately, injuries did come into play. He had the back spasms the back half of his freshman year. He had shin splints throughout his sophomore year, so did not have the result that he wanted. And talking to Malachi's family, they felt like he was kind of rushed back a little bit versus having himself heal the proper way. If Brian Branch goes, which we all think that he will, and when you look at, 2 open spots at safety with Jordan Battle and DeMarco Helms both leaving, Malachi Moore has a chance to start at safety next year. He can start at safety, or he can start at nickel, his spot from his freshman year, and really show, hey, I'm still that guy that I was from 2020. So I think Malachi Moore has a chance to make huge money, him coming back.
All right, in terms of huge money, let's talk about the guys who had the opportunity to go to the NFL draft. On Saturday, the Sugar Bowl, who do you feel like earned the most money for themselves? My top 3, of course, Brian Branch, number 1. Then I got to go with Byron Young, number 2. And then I got to go with Cam Latu at number 3. What does your list look like?
I think my list based off the Sugar Bowl, Justin, I got to agree with you. I'm going to go with those 3. I mean, Branch, I'm just watching draft scouts fall out of their chair in the Sugar Bowl with the way Branch played. If you look at Byron Young, he's been the most consistent defensive lineman all year. I thought he had a strong performance there in New Orleans. I think he takes that to the Senior Bowl and builds off that. And then Cam Latu, the play where he breaks a tackle and picks up extra yardage, I think he has made a bit more money for himself, and I think he takes that down to the Senior Bowl as well and kind of sort of builds off that, moving forward. So I think all 3 of those guys really sort of stepped up and kind of padding their numbers a bit in terms of the upcoming draft. But I just look at, despite so many people that say, watch C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud had a good game against Georgia.
Solid.
Away. But Bryce Young, I think he's the number 1 quarterback taken in this draft. Bryce, the way he sees the field and the touch he had on that ball in the Sugar Bowl, for the first time, you saw he and Burton connect. You saw he and Isaiah Bond connect. You saw he and Kobe Prentice connect. And then you just connect with everybody. And then he and Ja'Cory Brooks on that big touchdown pass. Like, Bryce Young connect with everybody. I understand people will nitpick his size. People will nitpick, his physical stature. But I'm going to tell you this. The accuracy, when it's on, it's on. The precision, when it's on, it's on. The placement, when it's on. And just his ability to just see all of the field, his cerebralness as a quarterback, it's right there with guys like Drew Brees. It's right there. So I feel like the way he played in the Sugar Bowl, he is the number 1 overall pick taken.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that a lot of people that are going to scrutinize him for his size are going to be missing out on a Hall of Fame quarterback. A lot of push has been given towards Will Levis here as of late. I don't feel like Will Levis possesses near the abilities that you just mentioned. in terms of what Bryce Young brings to the table. C.J. Stroud, amazing player, really gained a lot of respect from this past Saturday, considering he was limited in terms of his weapons, his top 3 players out, and was still able to shred Georgia's defense and just make incredible plays. Talented guys, but no one has the caliber of a Bryce Young. So if anyone's going to pass on him, I feel like they're making a sad mistake. And listen, we're not in that age of the big NFL quarterback anymore. You don't have to be 6'5", 250 pounds to be considered effective. So Bryce Young, I feel like, is about to start what I perceive as a Hall of Fame run. Time will tell, but couldn't be more excited for the young man or the young men who have declared. Hate to see them go. Would love to see him from a selfish standpoint come back for another year and get a natty, but it's all about them at this point. So very excited and looking forward to seeing what we have coming back next year. So, but before I let you go, I'm going to let you kind of give your final thoughts, but then also preview a little bit about what you're going to be bringing in terms of, in my own words, tonight.
I mean, Justin, I'm just thrilled to see all these young men take their talents to the next level and really provide for their families in ways that they have only dreamed of doing. But getting a chance to talk with Will Anderson, he's just so excited about this Alabama team next season. I mean, he talked about Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, guys like Keon Keeley, guys like Quindarius Robinson. He mentioned a whole list of guys, but he's excited to watch. Next year, Justin, I mean, we're looking at, Deontay Lawson at middle linebacker. What could that be? You're looking at Kendrick Blackshaw getting on the field. What could that be? You're looking at guys like Justin Jefferson, the JUCO linebacker. How fun that could be, in the secondary, especially with Malachi Moore coming back and, the potential of if Eli Ricks comes back, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the 2023 class with Caleb Downs and Jaleel Hurley and Tony Mitchell and Brayson Hubbard. I mean, next year's going to be a whole bunch of excitement. At the quarterback position, you got this battle between Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe, and you got Eli Holston and Dylan Larnigan in here. You got all of these running backs in here. With the receiver stepping up, this wide receiver room's probably going to go crazy. You got C.J. Prey at tight end. Like, this Alabama team, when you talk about winning the Sugar Bowl and the way that you did, beat Kansas State by 25, and this is going to springboard you into, next spring and next season. And then you look at, after February 28th, Bill O'Brien's contract runs out. Does he get renewed? Does Alabama go elsewhere in terms of OC? That's a question right there. You're hearing rumblings about, yes, Alabama's probably going to retain Pete Golding. Do they bring somebody else in as kind of a co-DC deal? I mean, there's been some rumors about that being stuck out there. So, but the dominoes are about to start falling here pretty soon in terms of what's going to happen between this upcoming spring for Alabama football and next season. But for the guys that have chosen to declare for the draft, I wish them nothing but the utmost best. Proud of those young men. Go out there and create that generational wealth for your families.
Absolutely. Another guy we definitely got to give praise to is our kicker, Will Reichard. I don't feel like he gets enough pop.
Yeah.
He's easily the best kicker that Alabama has had since Van Tiffin, Lee Tiffin, and even Michael Proctor. And, we remember the days where that was not a solid part of our arsenal. But Will Reichard, 4 straight years of solid production. He stepped out into the field, it was automatic. So praise to that young man.
Absolutely leads the program as the all-time leader for career points. And, a guy that, just in the last 2 years, the last 2 years, Justin, when you look at Riker, I mean, it's crazy how, Alabama fans that used to have to smoke and cuss and drink and swear just to get a field goal made. But the last 2 years, that has not been the case. I mean, Will Riker, money in the bag, and he talked about it during Sugar Bowl prep that he will declare for the draft. And praying that Connor Talty that continues that consistency, that Will Reichert brought to the table. Hopefully, tall he can, but definitely Will Reichert, gem throughout his career at Alabama. Hate to see him go, but proud of that young man too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we close up shop, if you will, tell the fans what you have in store for In My Own Words tonight on Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, and then I'll let the guests know what to expect for the Bama Standard tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be getting into, once again, the guys declaring for the draft, how they felt about it. Which guy you think is going to go number 1 overall? Where could Jahmyr Gibbs fall at? The guys that could declare in the next coming weeks. With the next week or so here, which guys to declare, which guy needs to come back. And we'll talk about, recapping the Sugar Bowl and the guys that really, made plays and getting us jump started in for the upcoming, getting us jump started into spring of this spring and next season. A lot of conversations on the table, and we're looking forward to having it.
Yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow night, folks, I'll remind everybody, tune in to the Bama Standard, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. The boys are back, and we're going to bring back 2-time national champion and Alabama defensive lineman Nick Gentry. If you remembered his spirited interview for a few months ago, you'll definitely tune back into this to have his thoughts on the season and giving his recap of the Sugar Bowl, what he saw, what he liked, what he didn't like. And as we know, he's a very passionate young man, so he's not going to hold anything back. So, yeah, definitely tune in to both shows. We appreciate your support, everybody. Before you exit out of the building, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let us know you love us. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section. Stephen and Smith, thank you again for being with me last minute. You've been a well-traveled man this past weekend, so I definitely appreciate your efforts. And look forward to seeing In My Own Words tonight and what happens for the Crimson Tide in the coming weeks.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Justin, you be easy.
Yes, sir. You too, man. Roll Tide, everybody. See y'all soon.